Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mind Body Medicine for Chronic Pain, where we talk about healing from chronic pain and healing from chronic symptoms using emotional and psychological modalities. Here we are. And okay, friends, today we're talking about something a little bit different. We're talking about ketamine and chronic pain treatment. Okay, before we go any further, note this podcast is intended for general information and education only. This podcast does not recommend ketamine for any specific patient, diagnosis, or condition. The use of any prescription medication must be done under medical supervision. You already know that. I know you already know that. I know the people who listen to this podcast are not stupid. You actually have very high levels of health literacy because you've had to develop that over the years or maybe even over the decades. But, just in case there's anyone listening who needs to hear this podcast does not recommend ketamine or any prescription drug for any specific patient, diagnosis, or condition. The use of prescription medication must be done under medical supervision. I am not medical supervision. This podcast is not medical supervision. Okay. Okay. So let's get into it. And let me just start with answering the most obvious question right off the bat. Is ketamine the cure for chronic pain? No, it is not. Is ketamine the cure for chronic symptoms? No, it is not. So, what's the cure for chronic pain and symptoms? Well, that, if you listen to this podcast, you already know. The cure for chronic pain and symptoms is, okay, this is a three-parter. 1, the cure for chronic pain and symptoms is learning to feel safe with and learning to tolerate and allow and welcome physical sensations in your body. Physical sensations, including pain and symptoms in your body. That's part 1, doing the psychological work of healing. Part 2, the cure for chronic pain and symptoms is learning to feel safe with and learning to tolerate and allow and welcome emotions as they rise. All of your emotions. That is part 2, doing the psychological work. Part 3 of the cure for chronic pain and symptoms, part 3 is learning to feel safe with and learning to tolerate and allow and welcome your true self. That's part 3, doing the work of patiently attuning to your true self. To heal chronic pain and symptoms, we're moving away from fighting and resisting and trying to fix the sensations you feel in your body and trying to fix the emotions and trying to fix yourself. We're moving away from that fighting, resisting, and we're moving away from that inner conflict, and we're moving towards allowing it all, letting it all in, feeling safe with all of it. That is the key, learning to feel safe with those 3 things. 1, sensations in your body. 2, emotions as they rise. And 3, being your true self. That is how you heal from chronic pain and symptoms. Why? Good question. Because pain and symptoms are danger signals in the mind-body system. Feeling safe calms the danger signal. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. It's a math problem. It's not easy, but at least it's simple. What's the fix for danger? Safety, period. Okay, so now ketamine. Right? Okay. If ketamine isn't the cure for chronic pain, why would I be talking about ketamine on Mind Body Medicine for Chronic Pain, the podcast? Well, if you are living in 2026, you may have noticed, isn't everyone talking about ketamine? Right? Like, is it just me who's hearing about ketamine everywhere, or is it you too? Because I'm hearing about it everywhere. So we're gonna talk about ketamine because everyone's talking about ketamine. So we are going to be part of it. We're gonna deep dive today on this newly popular treatment. All right. So let me start by saying I am on Dr. Howard Schubiner's email mailing list. And okay, and while I'm talking about Dr. Schubiner, let me just plug his new book, Unlearn Your Pain, the updated version. It is out now, brand new, available. I'm currently cruising through the audiobook, which Howard reads himself. It's actually available if you have Spotify Premium. It is literally included with that. And I see you. You're listening to me right now, so you're an audio person just like I am. The audiobook, check that out. Unlearn Your Pain by Dr. Howard Schubiner. It's a different version of all the same stuff we talk about here. And it's given to you by someone who's literally Dr. Howard Schubiner, literally at the top of this field. It helps your brain to hear this message from a chorus of voices. So your brain will like to hear a different version of the same mind body healing principles from him. So, okay. You're getting the book. It's going to be good for you. You are getting the book. And as I was saying, Howard sends out these really great emails to his listserv every now and again about, what's going on in his world, what's going on with the research about neuroplastic work for chronic pain and symptoms, what's going on with neuroplastic and TMS therapies. When when this podcast first dropped last year, somehow Howard knew that. And he included in his email a little announcement about us when the podcast first came out. How cool is that? Um, so he's paying attention to everything. Everything. And here's something that he is paying attention to. This is from one of Howard's emails from last year, November 13th, 2025. I'm quoting straight out of the email. I'm literally reading it. I copy and pasted it into my podcast bullet point notes for today. All right, from Howard. Some interesting research studies. Is ketamine an effective treatment for chronic pain? An extensive review by the Cochrane Library, which is generally considered the best data source for meta-analyses, concluded that ketamine was not effective for chronic pain. Okay. He goes on to say, might ketamine be effective when paired with PRT, pain reprocessing therapy, or EAET, emotional awareness and expression therapy, or IFS, internal family systems, or other forms of trauma therapy? We think it might. There are ongoing studies pairing some of these therapies with psychedelics. We shall see. Okay, we shall see. So, folks, you want to know something? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a secret. Are you ready? Before I even read that email, not even inspired by that, before I even saw that, I tried ketamine. Yes, indeed, friends. I tried ketamine. And let me just say, this is a completely legal process. Ketamine is legal in the US as long as you have a prescription for it, which I will say I got. This is all above board. If ketamine, of course, is used as a street drug illegally, but it's also completely legal in medical settings with a medical prescription. And so that is how I access this for myself to give it a try. So I'm going to tell you about my experience and bring some of that to you if you are interested. So, what is ketamine? Let me remind you, folks, I am not a medical doctor. I cannot recommend medications to you. That would be absolutely outside of my scope of practice. I do not endorse ketamine for you. Okay? Today I'm going to talk about ketamine generally, provide some general education, tell you about my personal experience, and then that is it. If you are interested in pursuing, this yourself, that's a choice you will make, and you will do so under the guidance of a licensed medical professional that is not me. Okay, so what is ketamine? This is from the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. Ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic that has some hallucinogenic effects. It distorts perceptions of sight and sound and makes the user feel disconnected and not in control. It is a short-acting anesthetic for use in humans and animals. It's referred to as a dissociative anesthetic because it makes patients feel detached from their pain and environment. Ketamine can induce a state of sedation, feeling calm and relaxed, immobility, relief from pain. I will note temporary. This is not ongoing relief from chronic pain. This is temporary. All right, back to the DEA, blurb, and amnesia, which is no memory of events while under the influence of the drug. All right, so ketamine is known to drastically increase neuroplasticity. While ketamine on its own does not cure someone of ongoing depression or anxiety or surely chronic pain, ketamine is known to create a window of heightened neuroplasticity in the brain. This can snap a person out of a dense mental state and create much more ease in changing the brain. All right. So, what is ketamine used to treat? Well, it is a regular drug used in medical settings all the time, and it's primarily used for anesthesia. But the new wave of, everyone's talking about ketamine, this new wave of newer treatment for ketamine is ketamine is being used to treat treatment resistant depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, bipolar disorder, and of course, even though the meta-analysis says it's not effective, ketamine is being used to treat, of course, chronic pain. So my colleague in the mental health podcasting space, her name is Anna Kristal, and she hosts a podcast called Ketamine Connections. She's a hypnotherapist by training and a yogi and, does cool stuff like that. And she's become, in recent years, your ketamine coach. If anyone is curious about ketamine and how to use it for the best results, like Anna Kristal, I'm telling you, Anna Kristal, the stuff you won't get in your brief medically focused clinic visits, like the real deep dives and how to set an intention, how to use ketamine to work with the subconscious mind, like that kind of stuff. Follow and listen to the Ketamine Connections podcast with Anna Kristal, available wherever you get your podcast. You will find Sean Hershey, LCSW, has been interviewed on her show twice. Once quite recently. It is the latest episode. So the first one was to talk about my personal experience with ketamine and with being part of her program for ketamine coaching. And the second appearance is the most recent, where I talk about chronic pain more generally as like a professional. So the first appearance is me just kind of personally, and the second appearance is me like in my professional role, which it's kind of one and the same. but the second one is more about my professional work, to talk about chronic pain. So her audience can get a little window into the neuroplastic TMS healing stuff that you and I and all of us here do every week. So, highly recommend Ketamine Connections with Anna Kristal. She's going to come on this show someday, and she's going to give you the same message I'm giving you today, which is the message that is just true. Ketamine alone is not going to solve or cure or fix your depression, your anxiety, your trauma, or your chronic pain. Ketamine, however, can be used as a powerful tool. It can open a door that, if used properly, that can be the door to healing and transformation. And thus, if you know how to use it properly, then ketamine will be a tool to help you with your depression, anxiety, trauma, and chronic pain. That's a subtle difference. I mean, it's not actually a subtle difference. It's a massive difference. It's a subtle difference in language, but a massive difference in understanding. Ketamine will not cure you. Ketamine can be used as a tool for doing the psychological and emotional work that is necessary to heal chronic pain. And of course, also depression, anxiety, and trauma. So. Okay, let's back up. We're gonna zoom out big time. Um, Psychedelics, for forever. So many people have used psychedelics as part of the healing process for forever. I'm going to read to you a little excerpt that I found from a 2024 BBC News article by David Cox. Um, I just want to say, like, I assemble when I write up the notes for like what I want to say on these podcast episodes, I assemble the notes from real sources. Like, I don't, I don't do deep dives into like the AI summary. You know what I mean? Like, because that stuff can be wrong. I have found that usually it's right, thankfully, that is good, but I know that sometimes it can be wrong. So I'm saying this just so you know, when I'm reading from sources on this podcast, I'm reading from sources, not from an AI summary, because that you know how it is. It might not be correct. So okay, this is from a 2024 BBC News article, like I said, by David Cox. All right. After more than 10,000 years of use, the ancient cultures and indigenous communities who use plant medicines may hold lessons for today's psychedelic renaissance. In a cave nestled into the rocky vastness of the Andes in southwest Bolivia, amid rubble and llama dung, anthropologists discovered a small leather bag which had once belonged to a shaman from a pre Columbian empire in the southern Andes more than 1,000 years ago. Inside, they found a collection of ancient drug paraphernalia. This included a snuffing tube, spatulas to crush the seeds of psychoactive plants, and traces of chemicals ranging from cocaine to psilocybin to the base ingredients of the psychoactive tea ayahuasca. The shaman's bag represents a unique window into the relationship between ancient civilizations and powerful hallucinogenic drugs. The substances found within the bag are also of growing interest to today's medical researchers. Psychedelics such as MDMA, LSD, psilocybin, and ketamine have been gaining attention in the Western world as a possible way to tackle the burgeoning mental health crisis. Yes, amongst the llama dung, deep in the Andes, um, there it is. Psychedelics from 1,000 years ago. And this article states that it's been more 10,000 years of known use in ancient cultures. Psychedelics have a long history in healing practices. I know that Dr. Gabor Mate did some kind of psychedelic something as part of his healing from his trauma. I heard that once in some interview that he did somewhere, and I trust Gabor Mate. He is of course, like one of the iconic trauma specialists, so I very much trust him. Um, something that I like definitely think about psychedelics. There's something about psychedelic use that seems very masculine to me. You know, like the like cool kind of like artistic straight guys, they do psychedelics for healing. Um, Journaling, which I do constantly, is very feminine coded. Psychedelics, which I have dabbled in, is very masculine coded. Now, obviously, let me state the obvious, either practice is good for anyone of any gender identity. Boys, I'm like, get out your journals. Girls, get out your drugs. um it's all good for all of us, but I bring this up to say, like, to me, I've always been marginalized for being too feminine, so any chance for me to do something that like feels masculine to me, and something that I actually like to do and like connect to and like want to do, it's like genuine, I'm like, yeah. Let me do it. Like, I feel like the little like gay tagging along, being like, guys, wait up for me. Oh, so yeah, just like journaling can be used by all people of all genders, psychedelics can obviously be used by all people of all genders as well. But I just want to say that, like, this kind of like masculine energy that I feel is associated with psychedelics is, it's something that I just like am vibing with, and that's my association. I don't know if it's yours, but it's certainly mine. It feels like it's the boys' club, which anyone of any gender is. If I have any control over it, welcome into it. But okay, so let me tell you a little bit about my experience with ketamine. And we'll also get a little bit deeper into, like, generally how I think ketamine can help with chronic pain. And also, of course, the limitations of ketamine for chronic pain, because ketamine on its own is not going to be a cure for chronic pain. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience. I'm going to start from the beginning. So I had a very good friend try ketamine for depression, probably like a little over a year ago. And according to him, it like revolutionized the symptoms for him. To which I was like, "Well, damn, like, that's cool." Then I had a client who was using ketamine for depression, and the client would, in our therapy sessions talk about like experiencing ego death while on ketamine, and they did it like at a clinic, infusions, medical supervision, all of that. I was not with them doing the ketamine. We were just processing the experience, and I was helping them sort of like integrate. um and the client's ketamine clinic would get in touch with me, to like collaborate with me as the treating therapist, and it was all, it's like very cool and very great. And it just very clearly seemed very legit. And the client's experience was very intense and very great. So I had that sort of floating around in my brain, and and I was thinking, like, I would surely be a better therapist to this client if I knew what it was like to be on ketamine. But like, I don't know I don't know what it's like to be on ketamine. Um, you know, the last straw though, I heard about ketamine on one of my favorite podcasts, Reclaiming with Monica Lewinsky, which I love. So this episode, it came out. I went back to look at it. It came out October 21st, 2025. It is Allison Janney and Monica Lewinsky. Now, Allison Janney, who I have always loved, hilarious actor. I feel like she steals the show in every single thing she's in. Allison Janney's so fucking funny. Um, so she was just sort of talking about her life and, this and that. And then she says she tried ketamine recently when she was like at a low point. And then she says, Monica, therapeutic ketamine has been the best thing I have ever done for myself in my life. And I was like, okay, in that case, like, let me try this shit, you know? Okay, now why? Why was I drawn to this? Me, as someone who has come so far in my healing from chronic pain, and as someone who still gets pretty regularly like flares of hip pain, and as someone who knows that healing from chronic pain and symptoms is an emotional and psychological endeavor. I know that. And as someone who knows that I should be calm and cool and collected and not afraid when I get hip pain flares, but as someone who still goes into why, like, no, all the aversion energy, like, why me? How much longer? Fuck everything. Nothing works for me. There's something wrong with me. I'm fundamentally broken. Like, God, even just saying that, I'm like, so awful and so sad, but true. I mean, these are the thoughts that really happen for me. And I know they happen for you too, because this is how it goes. You see how the pain flares trigger my childhood trauma and like beliefs, like I'm fundamentally broken, there's something wrong with me, even though I obviously know better. I'm a human being with a human brain, just like you. And like I said, I know better. Of course, I know better. But do I always do better? I do not. Just like you, I do not always do better. So I was like, hey, ketamine creates neuroplasticity. And like, yeah, I need some of that. So that got me on this path. And let me say, these New York City ketamine prices to do an infusion in a clinic, like these prices are real high. Real high. And thankfully, like I am not in the poorhouse. I have a professional job. As you know, I am a psychotherapist. But like, do I have the money to blow all this on these in-clinic infusions? Especially when there are much more affordable options for at-home ketamine. Um, Also, I feel like it's important to just, like, name this. As a side note, most people don't know this. I certainly didn't know this before I was self-employed. Self-employed people, including therapists with their own private practices, such as myself, um, self-employed people have terrible, terrible options for health insurance in the lovely United States of America. Terrible options. And the worst part about them is they are so expensive. Guess. Like, literally, I want you to, like, do the math in your head. Just guess. How much do I pay, Sean Hershey, LCSW, in the year 2026? How much do I pay for my very average, nothing special health insurance that does not cover ketamine? It has co-pays, co-insurance. I get bills every time I get lab work done because this insurance doesn't fully cover lab work. It is always something with the health insurance on the New York State marketplace. Guess how much my health insurance costs? Just guess. Did you guess $800 a month? Yeah, and that doesn't even include the co-pays and, all that extra shit. When I started my private practice, that was 5 years ago, the prices were all lower across the board. They were still high, way higher than they should be, but all the plans across the board were lower at that time, and, so I chose a better health insurance plan, like, at the beginning. I had the platinum plan. I started with that 5 years ago. That platinum plan is now $1,300 a month. Yes. So when the platinum plan went over 1,000 a month, that was a few years back, I moved down to the gold plan. Then that went over $1,000 a month, and I moved down to the silver plan. Folks, we're on bronze now. All right? It's 2026, we are down to bronze, and, of course, it doesn't cover ketamine, and, yeah, so basically $10,000 of my income yearly just poof, gone, just to pay for a 4 tiers down level of healthcare, and I mean, you know me, I'm a total TMS nerd, so how often do I even go to the doctor? I don't go to the doctor that often at all. Like, I don't need doctors that often. But of course, as you know, not everything is TMS. So of course I do obviously go to the doctor. And I mean, the good news is I'm not a low income individual. Uh the bad news is that if you're not low income, you get absolutely no assistance with these unreal costs, so you just have to pay them. Anyway, wow. Can you tell I have some gripes with this? This is my long butt hurt, I wish America would wake up and take fucking care of its fucking citizens way of saying I chose at home ketamine. Okay, so off of that tangent. It was all via telehealth. They like evaluate you, walk you through the process. I told them I was there for anxiety and trauma and chronic pain. They give you access to an app that like, coaches you a little with your mindset. And then as long as everything squares away, when they evaluate you, they prescribe the ketamine as it's sort of like pills you just take at home. in bed with someone around to supervise you, like just in case, like that you get someone in your life to be a trip sitter for you. And okay, isn't life strange? I have to include this detail because I'm like, how did this happen? The Alice and Janney podcast came out on October 21st. That's where that was the final straw that I was like, let me do this. Like, let me do some research into this, and like I'm gonna figure out the logistics, and like, that's when I started like really going through the like onboarding process and everything. So that was what the podcast no, October 21st, 2025. I had my first trip all planned, everything ready, pills had come in the mail, everything was ready to go, the evening of Thursday, November 13th. What did I say earlier? I kid you not. That day, I checked my email. There's an email from Howard Schubiner about ketamine and chronic pain. How weird is that? Like, what? When life works out, like that sometimes, I'm like, what was that? You never know. You never know. So, I took the ketamine, had a psychedelic experience. The angels came down and healed my hip, and I came out of the trip, and I never had a hip pain flare ever again. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Not how it works. Wrong. What really happened? Let me tell you what really happened. Um, I would say that the ketamine helped me. Was it the cure for chronic pain? As I said, no, it was not. It was not. But it did help me in a slow, subtle way, I would say. So this is me sharing my experience. I went into this a little scared. Like, I'm the type, as I've said on this podcast before, but I'll say it again. I'm the type, like, I've had very bad trips just with cannabis. So, I was like, ketamine's gonna be way worse, obviously, because like, duh, like ketamine's crazy. Um, but no, actually, it wasn't like that for me at all. Like, I definitely had some pretty psychedelic experiences. Like, I was having floating, out of body, no sense of time. Like, I was on drugs. And in my experience, I will say, with ketamine, I never lost myself while I was, like, on the trip and in the experience. Like, with weed, sometimes I go, into, like, deep, deep thought rabbit hole spirals, and then I'll, like, surface, and it's, like, not until I come back to the surface that I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, I was really in deep back there." Like, I was lost back there, like, "Oh god, I'm so high." Like, if you know the feeling, you know the feeling. Um Ketamine for me was not like that. I never lost touch with my own internal voice. Even though some pretty wild feelings and sensations and stuff would come up, like I stayed attached to me. Like I could like narrate the whole experience the whole time. Um, and for me, I will say the process really did seem to be all about increasing neuroplasticity and helping me draw like new connections. And I will say confidently, ketamine helped some unconscious stressors like rise to the level of consciousness. Like I really am quite confident that ketamine like deepened my process, especially in that way. Like things that I knew on some level were stressing me out, but then I would like have a ketamine trip and some thoughts about certain topics and themes would come up and I'd be like, wow, like the panic that I have over this theme in my life is like, wow. Like that is notable. Good to know. Um, so I ended up doing a whole course of about 16. I haven't been like strictly counting, but it was about 16 at home trip experiences, spread out like very off and on between November 2025 and now, which is June 2026. And I've got just a few more of the pills. So I'll do the rest and then I'm going to take a break from it. And, I liked it. So maybe I would go back to it sometime later on. Um, and like I said, for me, I would say ketamine has definitely helped me. It helped me, first of all, surface, like I said, new emotional themes that were lingering in the space between the subconscious and full consciousness. Like nothing shocking for me arose, but some things that I was like, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, I'd also say, like, secondly, ketamine, I really do think has most likely helped me rewire my brain to go more in the direction of facing hip pain flares, with the necessary calm, allowance, and safety, which I know obviously is the direction that the brain needs to go. Like, above all, the energy of safety. I know, that one is supposed to bring their experience of their body when they know they have TMS, one is supposed to bring their experience of their body into a place of safety. And ketamine, but that's hard. The psychological work, folks, it's harder. It easier said than done. You know that. Um, Ketamine has, like, I'm sure it's helped me move more in that direction, and I certainly have moved much more in that direction. I mean, certainly over the course of doing this mind body process, wow, I've radically moved in that direction. But over the past few months doing ketamine, I can tell I've moved more in that direction. Um, so that's good. And I was really leaning into it. I was really practicing that, like, along with any flare ups with the ketamine trips, knowing, like, okay, I'm in a heightened window of neuroplasticity. Let me really practice leaning into safety and allowing. And it's okay. It's okay. My body is whole, healthy, healthy human body. It is okay. Um, and also I would say as a third piece, like, the ketamine was just kind of fun. Like, it really, I feel, helps me deepen my connection with myself. Like, it helps me take time off from my overly busy life and just, like, do a ketamine trip completely for self-care. Like, that's a whole evening right there. Like, you can't cram in extra shit after a ketamine trip. Like, so it really helped me, like, slow down, um, and just, like, take nights off for myself. So it was overall, very good. All right. Can it help you? Now, as you know, I do not have the power to recommend any medication to you. So, with that said, I will not recommend it to you. Now, generally, how do I think ketamine might be able to help with chronic pain and chronic symptoms? If this is not already clear to you that this does not exist, ketamine is not like taking a pill to make the chronic pain and symptoms go away. It is not a chronic painkiller. It is not. Ketamine opens a window of increased neuroplasticity. It cuts through what ketamine connections, ketamine coach Anna Krishtal calls dense states. Ketamine cuts through dense states with neuroplasticity. So it can help you. Yeah, I mean, you really, of course, neuroplasticity can help you with what is the cure for chronic pain. One, the psychological work, learning to feel safe with sensations in your body, including pain and symptoms. Yeah, increased neuroplasticity with ketamine can help you lean into that. What else is the cure for chronic pain? Two, the emotional work, learning to feel safe with your emotions, including repressed and unconscious emotions. Yes, neuroplasticity from ketamine can definitely help with that. All right, part three, the final part of healing from chronic pain, patiently attuning to your true self, learning to feel safe being yourself. Ketamine brings on increased neuroplasticity. That can help a person cut through the severity of the automatic fear threat response to pain and symptoms. Ketamine can help a person access emotions and emotional themes that lay beneath the level of full consciousness. Ketamine can do things like that, of that sort. All right. What are the limitations of ketamine for chronic pain? It's not a cure. It is not a pill to take that will cure your chronic pain. Okay. And if you think that anything is going to do that for you, when you try it, you will be disappointed because there is no cure like that for TMS. None. None, 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 none. I think this is the kind of thing someone might delusionally think like, "Oh, someday there might be a pill you can take for this." I don't think so. Maybe give it 10,000 years, but I just don't think so. Pills don't work like this. I don't know that there will ever be a pill that will give someone education, knowledge, a deepening of a connection with themselves. Like, as I'm saying, ketamine can open a door that will help facilitate all of those things for you if you are willing to do those things for yourself. But I don't think there's ever gonna be a pill that can lead to this kind of deep emotional and psychological shift that needs to happen. Now, are there pills that can, like, boost your mood? Of course. Are there pills that can calm your anxiety? Of course. There are not pills that are gonna lead to this kind of, like, deeper sense of, I mean, enlightenment feels like sort of a strong word, but you know what I mean. There's no pill now that's gonna do that for you, that's for sure. None, none, none. And the healing from chronic pain and chronic symptoms, what's required is the deeper emotional and psychological work that pills can't do for you. And I'm just gonna guess in the future they're not gonna be able to do that either. But, prove me wrong. Someone prove me wrong. All right. This is an invitation to get to know your emotions and to get to know yourself better. I'm sorry, but that is what chronic pain and chronic symptoms are. It is what that is. Chronic pain is an invitation to get to know your emotions and yourself better. That, in combination with an invitation to learn how to chill the fuck out. That's like basically another way to put the psychological work. Learning how to chill the fuck out. I had a client, who had a very successful course of, therapy with me. This client said at the end of our therapy, the client was like, "So, this was just a very complex way for me to learn how to chill the fuck out." The client said that in the last session, and that was a great summary. But of course, like they said, this is a very complex way of for me to learn how to chill the fuck out. And yes, it is complex because if the first medical provider who this client saw had gone, this client went to this medical provider with IBS symptoms. If the first medical provider who this client ever saw had said, chill the fuck out, that would not have landed. Okay. Even though it was the message that eventually this client needed to internalize and that would end up coming out of their own mouth, that would not have landed because the deeper groundwork, like the education around the self understanding, the belief in the self and the belief in the body, all of that needed to be established before the client could say to themselves, chill the fuck out. That was the message, chill the fuck out. But there needed to be a lot of groundwork laid, a lot of education, a lot of self-understanding, a lot of emotional understanding. That groundwork needed to be laid before they could understand and tell themselves, chill the fuck out. Okay. Okay, 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 okay. So that is a little bit about my experience, the way that I really believe ketamine helped me. Um And it's a little bit about the way how, like, generally, I believe ketamine can help with a process of chronic pain healing, but it cannot cure chronic pain. It is not that. Just like Dr. Howard Schubiner noted in his email with the meta-analysis of all the ketamine for chronic pain studies, it is not the cure for chronic pain. And can psychedelics help people with chronic pain and symptoms when paired with this work? I assume so. But, like, we'll see if further research, we'll see if further research substantiates that claim. But my anecdotal experience is like, yes. And if you use, common sense, I think the answer would be yes. But we will see what the research says. So hopefully Howard Schubiner will keep me posted, and then I will obviously be keeping you posted. Okay. That is a totally strange conversation for us to have, right? Like, we're going out on a limb talking about ketamine for chronic pain treatment, and I'm telling you, I can't recommend shit to you, okay? I'm not your doctor. But if this piques your curiosity, okay, you can do some research and you can think about it because maybe this could be a tool for you. You know, an interesting deep dive into a new popular kind of fad health treatment that is very much popular right now, going around, and it can be used as a tool for you to do the work that must be done for chronic pain healing, the psychological and emotional work. Okay, folks. If you're enjoying the show, please go ahead and leave a rating or review for the podcast. That'd be very kind of you. I would absolutely appreciate that. Many of you, I was on a kick where I was like, leave ratings and reviews a while back. Many of you did. Awesome. Thank you so much. For those of you who have not done it yet, now is the time. That would be great. You can do it literally right now. Obviously, I appreciate it, and it's a great way to say thank you to me, and it's also bigger than me, you know? It's about lifting up this mind-body approach for others to find it. How many people, I say this in all seriousness, how many people take Dr. Sarno's books seriously and end up reading them because of the Amazon reviews? Right? It sounds so basic, but a lot of people. A lot of people. Your opinion matters. All right? Make it be known. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you could just go to the show homepage, scroll down. There are 5 stars right there. Give the show some stars. Maybe you want to leave 5. Great. I would love that. Maybe you don't. That's okay too. Maybe you're like, this episode about ketamine kind of made me nervous because, like, now I have to do ketamine to heal from chronic pain. And he's saying it's not even the cure for chronic pain. This show is making me nervous. First, let me just say to you the obvious answer to that question is no and no. You do not have to use ketamine to heal from chronic pain. You do not. It is a tool. There is a vast array of psychological and emotional practices and tools. That is what you need to heal your chronic pain. Ketamine can be one of them. It is not necessary, not by a long shot. So please know if you're in a state of anxiety over this, do not panic. Listen to other episodes and you can learn. But if you're freaking out and you want to give a low star rating, or maybe you just don't like me and you want to, but you're engaged with the podcast, maybe you like the content, but you don't like me, leave a low star rating. Be my guest. Just engage. You know, I'm engaging with you. I would really appreciate it if you engaged with me. Spotify listeners, you can go to the show homepage on Spotify, tap the 3 dots icon next to the settings gear. You can give the show some stars right there. Easy, easy, easy. Do it right now would be the easiest way because you won't forget and you're thinking about it right now. Thank you, and thank you. Hey, everybody. I just want to put in a little plug before we're done for the most recent episode of Anna Kristal's Ketamine Connections podcast, which, guess who the guest is? It is a guest interview with Sean Hershey, LCSW, where I talk all about the mind-body connection. And I relate that to ketamine for her audience. And I, tell a lot of my story and talk a lot about the basics of chronic pain healing. And if you're interested in catching that, it is, I think, a really cool discussion. And Anna Kristal is great. The link for that is in the show notes, Ketamine Connections podcast. You're more than welcome to listen and to enjoy that. And it's known in the world of ketamine healing that ketamine helps with chronic pain. Now, of course, that's complicated because it's like how, ketamine, as we know, is not a pill to cure chronic pain. So we talk a little bit about, why I think ketamine would help someone with chronic pain, how it can be used to help someone with chronic pain. So if you are interested in catching that, by all means, check that out. Okay. And Last thing, this is actually working out perfectly. This is the perfect time to do this. I have spent recently a little time exploring this library of royalty-free music. Oh my God, folks, let me just say, if I could use copyrighted music on this podcast, like actual songs, that would slap so fucking hard, right? Like, ooh, damn. Like, I could give you a different, like, on theme, on vibe song for every podcast outro. Maybe someday I will have the budget for that. But for now, we're looking at the royalty-free library. And I've done some digging lately, and honestly, some of this stuff is pretty good. Like, I will say I love our intro music, right? Very soothing. It really captures the spirit of the podcast pretty well, I think. I chose pretty well last year when I chose this audio clip, if I do say so myself. But anyway, for the outro, this turns out to be the perfect time talking about neuroplasticity, getting the brain doing something different. This is the perfect time to roll out some new explorations with outro music. And now I've got a bunch of these up my sleeve. So the intro music is classic. That will not change. That is classic, and that's good. That's no amount of neuroplasticity is going to change that. But we are going to play with the outro music going forward, depending on the vibe of the show. Something for you to keep coming back for, switch it up, keep you engaged. And I'm going to send you out today on a new royalty-free music clip. Let this energy, it's different. It's going to feel different. Like, let this energy uplift you as you go forth today. That's what they used to say at St. Mark's. Every Sunday, the last line of Mass, every Sunday at St. Mark's, the priest would say, "The Mass is ended. May you go in peace to love and serve the Lord." And the whole congregation would say, sort of like numbly and quietly mumble, "Thanks be to God." And then the final song would begin. So, this is not St. Mark's, but that shit is like in my bones. So, let me say, this little talk about ketamine and chronic pain healing is ended. May you go into your life with some healing, high vibrations, some neuroplasticity, riding high on this new royalty-free music clip. If you're looking for a therapist, you found one. And you can decide. Does my vibe resonate with you? Therapy is an opportunity. Therapy is an opportunity to tune into you, to learn to feel more comfortable being yourself, to feel more comfortable with your emotions, and to feel more comfortable existing in the world in your body. Do you have difficulties in your life? Maybe it's chronic pain, maybe it's something else. Maybe you want to become a person who likes yourself. Do you want a therapist to help you? And would you like me to get to know you and to help you? That is actually an option. You can find me at SeanHershey.com or MindBodyMedicineForChronicPain.com. Both go to the same place, and if you're looking for me, I'd welcome a message from you. SeanHershey.com, MindBodyMedicineForChronicPain.com, and you can request a free consultation.